Now, sometimes when you learn things in school, you have some time to study before the test. But it wasn't like that. He was telling me, and all these different kinds of animal and insect and reptile people were all around. But something very wonderful was there. Because Kailash Baba actually had no fear, and because I could see how he honored, respect, and loved every one of these creatures, he was in that state he was talking about. And just by being near him, I could also, in my own way, see them as my brothers and sisters, to honor them and to have no fear. That's the power of being with saintly people. Not only do they give us wisdom, but in their association, they actually give us the realization to live by that wisdom. One of the most difficult things he taught me, this is interesting, how to get along peacefully with other sadhus. That was much more complicated than leopards, cobras, scorpions, and panthers. Because everyone has their own ideas and their own ideologies and their own gurus and everything like this. And everyone has their own customs. But he taught me how to actually live in respect and honor and harmony with different types of sadhus. He was like a father, and he treated me just like a son as we roamed through the jungles together. And it was cold, and all I had were 2 pieces of cotton cloth to cover my body. But he had a wool blanket. So when we would lay down in the forest or on a cliff or on a riverbank, he would always give me his blanket. And I would never accept it. How can I take your blanket and then you don't have a blanket? And he said, no, you take it. He didn't say it. He would just give me the blanket, and then I would give it back to him, and he would give it to me, and I would give it back to him, and he would give it to me. And I don't know what I'm saying, if it makes sense, but it ended up that we would both lay under the blanket together every night. After some time, I realized that my journey, it was time for me to move on. And I also felt that his life was one of seclusion, and I was imposing myself upon him. And out of compassion, he was letting me be with him. So I bowed down to say goodbye, and he embraced me. He was a gigantic person. He embraced me like a bear, and there were tears in his eyes, and he blessed me. And I turned around. And as I was walking away, I was thinking that on this path I'm meeting some of the greatest, most beautiful people I ever met in my life. And as wandering mendicants, when we leave each other, we know we may never see each other again. But that was the life of a sadhu. And I was walking away thinking that my feelings of separation from him will always keep his presence in my heart. Now I'm going to tell you something that may not make sense to you. Kailash Baba taught me more than anybody I've ever met up until that time. But he did not speak a word of English. And I didn't speak a word of Hindi. I knew a few words like acha or tora or something like that. How is it that I learned so much from him? Because he deeply cared about me. He really wanted to bring me closer to God. And I was so eager to receive that knowledge. And when a teacher really cares, and when a student is eager to learn, something mystical happens. There's a transference of knowledge and information that comes through grace, through a spiritual frequency, just by pointing his finger or speaking a language I didn't know or raising his eyebrows. He gave me so many messages.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on thesacredconnect.com.